And good morning, everybody. Welcome to another beautiful Science Saturday. In case you can't see me, here I am in my tiny square screen. Hey, yo. So, in case you can't guess, here we are at the mangrove tables. We've been here before, and you might ask, why are we here again, Kitty? Because it's awesome, and we love it, and what other reason do we need? But there's always more to learn. There are amazing people working on mangrove research and working in the nurseries and protecting our mangroves, and we want to talk to all of them. So today we are joined by Smush. Hey, Mush. And ladies, good morning. I'm giving you full camera power and I'm gone. Hey, who are you? What are you? What are we doing?
Hey, good morning. My name is Allison, and I am a third-year master's student here at the University of the Virgin Islands and a team member of GRROE.
Ooh.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm an undergrad, and I also work at GRROE.
What is GROE?
So GRROE is the name of our group and our mangrove nursery team and our operations here. GRROE is spelled GRROE and stands for Growing Research, Restoration, Outreach, and Education of VI mangroves. And we do all of those things, and we're here to talk to you a little bit about some of that today.
Very cool. I want to start out by saying I love this framing. You're just like surrounded by baby mangroves. It is beautiful. I'm going to scooch back a little bit, get a good screen, all of you in here. So what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about this beautiful mangrove here, and we forgot to introduce her, but this is Gertrude.
Hey, Gertrude.
Gertrude was actually given to us by a local community member who had her growing in his pond for 5 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
called us up and said, hey, she's getting too big, would you like to take her? And we said, of course.
So, very important scientific question.
Yeah.
Who named Gertrude?
I did. I know. It just felt right. I met her. She was in my car. We bonded for the 10-minute drive here, and Gertrude is just who she is.
I love it.
More suggestions.
Cool. All right. Carry on.
Yeah. So Mason just had a really good question. He said, what kind of mangrove is this? And what kind of mangrove do you think this is?
I was thinking that it might be a white mangrove because it has the kind of not red bark and like the bottom of the leaves are kind of
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good guess. So you guessed a white mangrove, but this is actually a red mangrove. And you were close. So although this tree doesn't have red bark right now, when it's planted out into the wild in more saltwater conditions and it gets older, the bark actually turns red from the substances called tannins that are within the roots, on and around the roots. So the best way you can tell this is a red mangrove is because it has these walking prop roots, as you can see here, right? And then eventually it'll produce long ones from the top, which are called drop roots, which help to prop up the plant. And they also have cool little pores on them, as you can see, that allow more oxygen exchange for the plant, because when these plants are rooted in nearshore environments, that peat and those sediment areas are really anoxic, right? They don't have a lot of oxygen because it's just so densely packed. So those prop roots actually help them get more oxygen.
Are these crop roots that have like these little things back here? Those crop roots that are trying to go down to the water but they're not fully grown?
Yeah, absolutely. They are prop roots that haven't fully grown yet. Okay, so quick pop quiz for you, Mason. True or false? Mangroves need salt water to survive. That was a really good guess. Correct. The answer is false. Mangroves are facultative halophytes, which is a fancy word saying that they can tolerate saltwater conditions, but they actually can grow just fine in freshwater. So Gertrude here was growing for 5 years in freshwater, and until recently, that's exactly what she's been doing. But here at the nursery, we have a really interesting setup where we have these tanks. Some of our tanks are plumbed with salt and fresh water, and so we're actually hardening Gertrude right now to be used to saltwater conditions. So we're slowly over time changing this salinity in her tank to be more salty, so that way she can get acclimated to that and then be planted out in the wild with less stress because she's already used to it. Okay, Mason, how many different types of mangrove species do we have here in the USVI? True mangroves.
3, I think, that I know.
Okay, and what are they?
White, red, and I can't remember the last one.
Starts with a B.
black mangroves.
I was gonna say not blue.
I was thinking maybe blue mangroves.
That would be very cool. I wish we had blue mangroves. No, you're absolutely right. And blacks. And what mangroves do you think these are here?
I don't know. Maybe red, because red at the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way you can tell that these are reds is, like you mentioned before, the leaves, right? So red mangroves have longer, pointier leaves, and if you feel it, it's kind of waxy, right? It's kind of waxy, and if you feel these leaves, they're also pretty waxy. And the other way you can tell too is that red mangroves have this, what is known as the hypocotyl, right? That's what it originally started out as, and then as it grows, this is the epicotyl. But as you can see, it's actually a color. It's green. And when these mangroves are brought into the nursery, they look like green beans.
Green beans. Okay, so can we have those two words again? We like to have vocab words.
Yes.
The first was hypocotyl.
Hypocotyl.
How do you spell that?
Oh gosh. Hypocotyld. That's probably wrong.
Okay,
You can Google it.
close
Sorry.
enough. And then the second word, the top,
Yeah, it's the epicotyl. So that's,
hypocotyl and epicotyl.
yep.
Very
So-
cool.
Yeah, and I just wanted to take Mason over. You should definitely go and check out previous Science Saturdays videos because he was here before doing a different activity with Allie and Kristen, other great team members of our GRROE team. He was here measuring propagules for intake. So we collect propagules and seeds fresh from the field, bring them in, and we collect a little bit of data on them, like how they're doing, what color they are, etc. So we're going to take Mason over and show him some of the ones that he actually helped to intake.
All right, excellent. Watch out for my cords. Don't trip over me.
Welcome to the mangrove nursery.
Woo!
Thing, it's like kind of
Oh, it's leaking a little. Oh, it's leaking?
a little bit.
Okay, well, we can fix that. No worries. Always something here to do at GRROE, maintenance-wise. Okay, so what kind of mangrove do you think these are, Mason?
Well, they're not as waxy,
Mm-hmm. Not as waxy.
and they're much skinnier
Mm-hmm.
color. So, I don't know, maybe white this time?
Yes, yours correct.
Nice. Woo!
Boom, white mangroves. You're right. So these are white mangroves because they are not as waxy. The leaves are rounded, and if you can see, there's kind of like a little indent at the end of the leaf. Also, white mangroves have what's called nectaries. So if you look right here at the base of the leaf, you see like two little dots.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That is called a nectary, and that's where a sweetish substance is produced. Sometimes with different white mangrove species, with that whitish sweet substance, it'll attract ants, and ants will actually act as sort of a defense for the plant, warding off other pests and stuff. So this is an example of what the white mangroves look like, the ones that you did intake
They
on.
look a lot like a bit less like a mangrove, a little bit more like a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when you see big white mangroves out in the wild, they do just look like trees because they are just trees. But yes, you're right. They don't have the prop roots, right, that you would see on a red mangrove. Their bark isn't red, and they do just look like trees. But as you can see, they get pretty big, and they're growing strong.
Very cool.
Yeah.
They're a lot bigger than when we did the measuring.
Yeah, they are. They grow a lot, don't they?
Yeah, so fun activity would be to go back and find that Science Saturday and compare the sizes. I think these were seeds,
Yes.
so much bigger.
They were the,
Yeah.
the little things. Some of them were like that big, some of them were that
Yeah, absolutely. They're probably some of the smaller ones that you see over here, because I think most of these ones are from when we first started the nursery a year and a half ago. But if I'm thinking of the timing in the video correctly, it would be some of these mid-sized ones.
Cool.
Yeah, but speaking of fun activities, let's head over to the tables. So as you all know, spooky season is over, and Christmas and any other holiday season is right there.
It's the holidays.
And so we've never had a big tree like Gertrude in the nursery before, so we wanted to celebrate.
I love celebrating. Also love the holidays. So as we're moving over and getting reset up, I just would like to say something totally off topic. It is the holidays, and in my book, the holidays officially started Thursday because I celebrate the holidays from November 10th to January 10th.
Okay.
And another favorite thing at Science Saturday is to celebrate birthdays. And the holiday window in my book, Thursday is my sister's birthday. Mason's mom, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
She's not watching right now because she's driving and working and taking care of the yacht show. And then it ends on January 10th, my birthday. So we'll for sure be celebrating then. All right, so we're here. We're going to get this back on the tripod. And what are we doing now? Oh, this is very crooked. I'm just going to hold it.
Okay. Mason, have you been to a great mangrove cleanup before?
No, I don't think I have.
I have.
Yeah? What happens at great mangrove cleanups? Why are they important?
Basically, there's a lot of trash that can get lodged in the roots of a mangrove, and we just basically help to clean out some of that, and we measure it to see kind of like what the debris is and how heavy it is, how much of it is, and kind of describe like what it looks like, just so we have some more information on like marine debris.
Yeah.
Excellent. We've talked about marine debris at Science Saturday, so we're right with you.
Perfect. And for those of you who don't know, go back and check out that video as well. And for anyone who's interested, we're going to have more great mangrove cleanups next year in spring of 2023. So definitely come out, hang out with the team, hang out with Mason.
It's fun.
It is fun. And so what's really interesting is that some of the smaller things that we find in the mangrove, the most numerous things are plastic bottle caps, plastic bottles, cigarette butts, those sorts of things, which are no fun to interact with, right? But there are other pieces of plastic and different items you can find in the mangroves as well. And so here we want to show you a different way to repurpose some of those. Now there are some specifications, which I'll talk about in a second, but since the holidays are coming, we wanted to create decorations for Gertrude so she can have a little bit of holiday spirit as well. Does that sound fun? Okay, let's pop a squat. I'm 30 years old. I don't know how old many of you are, what your childlike experiences were, but back in the day, there was a thing called shrink dinks, right? You get a special piece of paper, you color on it, put it in the oven, it dries. It's a harder, smaller piece of plastic that you can then put on a keychain. I don't know, give to your friend, put a magnet on the back, make it a decoration, or, you know, tie some ribbon and boom, Christmas ornament. So that's what we're going to do here today. We have some different plastic sheet pan lids in front of us. And from the DIY Shrink Eating website I looked at, it specified that for this you need number 6 plastic. So on the plastic there's usually a little triangular arrow that has a number sometimes, and this is number 6. So although you could repurpose different plastics from marine debris in mangroves to do this project, make sure it has the number 6 on it and that it's clean and dry.
Cool.
Yeah. So I have all these wonderful brand new fancy Sharpies here, and we're going to draw whatever kind of thing you want. It can be mangrove related, it can be animal related. We're going to draw it on here. I'm going to take these home, bake them, and then they will be turned into ornaments, and then we can decorate Gertrude with them. Does that sound good?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Meanwhile, talking about mangroves.
I love a mangrove decorating party.
Yeah. So I will say, these are going to shrink, right? So one important thing to remember is that you're going to have to draw whatever you want pretty big.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to shrink too much and work.
And for those of you watching and for those of you here, we're going to have a follow-up video posted to this video with the results of the decorations. So have no fear, but also a little bit of suspense. I love it.
A little bit of suspense. Because you never know how DIY crafts are going to turn out. So
That's true.
It's always interesting.
If they're awful, there were technical difficulties. Nah,
Yeah.
we'll post it whatever it is.
So Mason, when you were here last time, what cool things did you learn about mangroves?
Let's see. I learned that, it was a little while ago. It was like 2 months ago. I don't exactly remember very much.
I'm pretty sure we were talking about storm surge.
Oh, yeah. We had, a big, tank, and we basically, like a plastic tub, and we, like, simulated sediment and different houses, and then, made waves to see how it would affect the houses on the beach, and then saw how, adding in, like, coral reefs and mangrove and seagrass would affect how the houses are damaged. And I learned that having just all of that just really helps.
Yeah.
and definitely just don't build your house right on the beach because it will get washed away.
They will get washed away. Excellent. So you mentioned one of the great things about mangroves, how they protect the shorelines from wind and wave energy from hurricanes. Pop quiz, what are some other good uses of mangroves? Why are they important?
They're trees, oxygen, of course.
Yes.
What else did they do? They provide a habitat for a couple of animals, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's really interesting is that here in the Virgin Islands, we have a really unique coral mangrove habitat where they grow close together in association, actually in Hurricane Hole. And it's one of the few habitats like that around the world. So, fun fact. And we have a lot of people working to restore the corals and the mangroves in that area. But you're absolutely right. So they provide habitat for other organisms, such as sponges and things. Amanda, what are some things that he's missing? You mentioned storm surge and the habitats.
they also help with like erosion, so to keep the sediment in place.
I remember one from actually our seagrass Science Saturday, and this is another vocab lookup, is carbon sequestering. And this is something, as a non-scientist, loud lady with a microphone, I'm just going to say that, and then that's all I know. But it sounds important.
It is. So mangroves are really good at sequestering carbon, and that's just a fancy phrase for saying they take it from the atmosphere and actually store it in the peat or the soil, the grounds that they grow in. And I think there's, I Google this because I don't know, they're second to seagrass in being able to do that around the world. So having mangroves is really valuable because it takes a lot of that atmospheric carbon, which we all know, right? Climate change, greenhouse gases rising, etc. is not the best, and actually puts it somewhere. So that's
Not
really
the best
great.
is a really good way to put it.
Not the best. Okay, so for mine, I'm going with like an ocean wave sort of thing ornament. What do you have going on over there?
I'm going for kind of like a
Like a sunburst.
what's it called? Like a
mandala?
like a mandala.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I love
Or
it.
like kind of like I'm going for like a look kind of like a rangoli.
Okay, I love it.
Nice.
I'm holding it down for the Mangrove Club.
That's
Look at those
wonderful.
croppers go.
I know, that's excellent. Sorry I didn't bring one for you, Kitty. I knew
It's
you were
okay.
gonna-
I am juggling camera, keyboard, and Surface because
Tech
just
wizard.
in case anybody's worried, our favorite scientist, Joe, is in the States. He will, I think, be back next month. I have a very bad sense of time. He's either been gone for 2 weeks or 2 years. Who knows? That's what happens when your best friend goes on vacation. But not to worry, he'll be back.
Yeah.
Fixing a sailboat with Savannah. Hey guys.
Welcome. Shout out.
I'm sure you're totally watching live from the boat, recovering from a hurricane. It looks like a belly button.
What's your question, Amanda?
I didn't know that mangroves put out flowers.
Oh, that was a great question. Or comment
Statement,
also.
Dan.
Statement. Yeah, they do. So, mangroves, do you know what a mangrove seed is called?
A propagule.
Yes. High five. Woo! Crushed it. Do you know what sets mangrove seeds apart, propagules apart from other seeds?
Well, for when they're a lot bigger and they're long, they float in the water and they have one side is heavier than the other, so it always like goes down, and then the roots just grow and it latches onto something and then grows into the tree.
Yeah, that's great. So what you described was the exact characteristics of a red mangrove propagule. You're exactly right.
Red mangrove.
Yeah, no worries.
I don't know what the other ones do.
That's okay. They're a lot smaller, but what sets mangrove seeds apart from others is that they germinate while on the tree. And all that means is that they get a leg up and grow on the tree, so that way when they fall off the tree and get ready to plant, themselves out into the wild, they already have a leg up. They have a lot of nutrition and different things inside of them that says, hey, you're more grown than all of your other seed friends, so go out there and do your stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
that's very nice.
And Amanda is an amazing volunteer. She's been working with us for a little bit of a while now, and she is super awesome. And Amanda, what are some cool things that you've learned since being here? What do you take out of, working in a nursery setting?
Yeah, so my favorite thing that I've done while I've been here so far is I really like GenMon. So that's short for general monitoring.
Okay.
And basically that's when we take some of the trees and we count them, count the leaves, measure them, see how tall they are. It's just my favorite thing because I like the numbers and the measuring and stuff.
I just think it sounds peaceful.
It is peaceful for a little bit, but why is GenMon important?
Oh, it's important because as a restoration organization, we're trying to make sure that the trees that we're putting out are of the best quality because we want them to survive as best as they can in the wild when we outplant them. So to do general monitoring, we're making sure that the trees are growing in the way that they should, everything's healthy. For example, like we look for pests and we remove those to give the trees like the best chance that they can have.
Nice. So I'm going to give a little opportunity for bragging here because I heard you say about giving mangroves their best chance. And I happen to know, because I pay attention during conferences, that you, Allison, are working on a really fun thesis project with the mangroves. Something maybe about crushed glass and other types of soil and substrate.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
Absolutely. So my thesis is testing different clumping, clumping mechanisms. So one mangrove grown by itself versus two mangroves grown together in the same pot, but then also different substrate types. So Kitty is exactly right. I'm testing potting soil versus crushed glass. And what's really interesting about that is people say, well, why are you using crushed glass? Why not just use sand? Well, technically, you need a permit to collect sand off of beaches.
True. As a DPNR employee, I can confirm that.
Yeah. But also, if you think about who we are and where we are as an island community, there are some big obstacles we have to contend with from time to time, including the price of imported goods, the time it takes them to ship, if they make it. And then also, the biggest problem of all, where do we keep our trash? So everything recyclable, reusable, compostable, or not ends up in the landfill. So from a mangrove nursery perspective, where time, money, and energy are super important to us, and if there's any way we can kind of help that situation and incorporate sustainability into our nursery practices, we do. We're trying anyway. And so, yeah, I have some of my mangroves growing in crushed glass, and I'm happy to report that they're growing.
Nice.
Woo, I know.
That's good news right now.
It is. But as Amanda said, we have to do some monitoring and see how these things pan out over time, right? Because trees grow slowly, things could change. And so the first part of my experiment is almost done, but then there'll be another part where we outplant into the wild to see how those mangroves are doing there.
So when you outplant, and I realize that this is in the future, but how much of the glass is going to come with it? Like, are those root structures holding on? Like when you repot, I'm not a gardener, but I have repotted the occasional, rosemary, whatever, and it really holds on. Are mangroves going to do that? Or are they going to take that glass with them?
Yeah, so the glass we crush is a little bit bigger in particle size rather than fine sand. And so we are going to put that glass out into the environment, right? We're going to cover it with other soil and other sand wherever we plant it, so it's not just glass everywhere.
Right.
But if you look in some of our mangrove takes, they've only been growing there for 6 months-ish, and the roots are already growing out the bottom. And so they've already kind of held that glass in place, because one of the great things mangrove does is, prevent erosion by having all those dense roots, right, and not letting things flow in and out. So the glass is going to come with it. It's all going to go.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool. Well, I am excited for when we're ready to do a Science Saturday about that.
Me too. That's looking really good. Look at you.
It's a little hard with the bendy surface, but
that's okay.
I'm working on one of these in art class. It's cool.
Oh, that's awesome. For what?
Just for a project. It was for Diwali.
Okay.
Diwali.
Oh yes.
Diwali.
Yeah. So to make this a Christmas ornament, I'm gonna have to use a hole punch to punch a hole in it before I bake it, and then it shrinks. So which side do you want to be the top? Where would you like the hole? You can go ahead and draw it if you want. Yeah. I have other tiny little Christmas ornaments at home. They're just kind of white balls that are on hooks that we're gonna put on the tree too.
Nice.
So that'll be really exciting.
The only Christmas ornaments I've made, or I've made the occasional picture. I made one with like baking soda, where you make like a little cookie, except it's really, really hard,
Oh yeah,
and then you can like write on it, and then
that's
yeah.
really great. Well, when you come to the Great Mangrove Cleanup in the spring, we hope to see you there. If you find some good number 6 plastic that's easily cleanable, you can make more, you know? Glue some magnets on the back. Boom, fridge magnets.
Cool.
Yeah. And we've also found a lot of other stuff in the mangroves that's reusable too, like buoys. People have boats, they clean, wash off, do that. We found a lot of scuba tanks, which we, I actually don't know what we do with those, but you probably
How do
can.
they
I think there's one over there. Actually,
yeah.
I kept them.
They also make great door stops. Yeah.
So while we're talking about, oh,
How
sorry.
did they end up there? Like, how did they like fall off people, or what goes on there? You know,
What are your guesses?
maybe they're just left out and they get washed into the ocean, or maybe they're like on boats and they fall off.
Yeah.
Or,
What happened in 2017 also?
hurricanes.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for those.
Oh, okay. Well, yes. So we had 2 big hurricanes in 2017. So a lot of the mangrove debris that we see is new, coming fresh from, like you said, people leaving things behind, things getting washed away, you know, from the landfill. But some of it still, too, is from the hurricanes because there's just so much out there, we can't get it all in one go. So little by little.
So combining those two comments now, actually, with marine debris and storms, what are some of the worst local threats to mangroves?
I'm going to ask, I'll swivel it here. Mason, what do you think the answer is?
Probably maybe like being built over or something, or like buildings being built too close to them, and like
Yes, that's a good one.
like I don't know, just like debris and like sewer water and whatever coming from them, getting to them, and I don't know, just like all the trash we have.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all really good answers.
Amanda, what do you think?
I was going to say, I would think erosion, but his thing sounds a lot worse.
Right, well, you're kind of close, and I think combining both of your answers, it paints a really clear story. So, right, urban development into mangrove areas, deforestation of mangroves to have different things built is exactly right. And then going off of your point, too, not necessarily erosion, but there's no space for mangroves to grow, right?
Yeah.
You chop them all down, you build a dock, there are some still mangroves, but where else are they going to grow?
Right.
You know?
Like, for instance, over at like the ferry dock, it's like
Mm-hmm.
just dry thing right there. Just going into it, and on the side I see like propagules like dangling through the bars, and I'm like, shoot that. Why? Like they just die and fall on the sidewalk. It's not
Aw,
a good
that's
thing.
sad.
Yeah, that's actually where we collect some of our seeds for the nursery. Some of the propagules. We climb through the fence and dig around on the ground, and that's where we got some of these babies. You see
Totally
now.
legally with permits.
With permits, we have permits. So it's all fair game for us. Yeah, but yeah, deforestation is probably a really big threat for
All right.
the mangroves here.
So, what do we want to do about it? What is something that one individual can do?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'd say recycling.
Recycling? Well, we don't really have recycling facilities here. What are the other R's in that whole thing?
Reduce, reuse, refuse.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's my boy.
That's good.
Trained him up well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I teach refuse, reduce, reuse. So you can just say no.
Yeah.
I say no all the time. It's really fun.
I
love
noticed
that.
there's all the paper straws all around here
Mm-hmm.
because there's no plastic straws like
Yeah.
illegal and stuff. And I don't remember. Oh yeah, the new fish bar on the north side. I went there and they had these awesome bamboo straws. I was so excited.
Bamboo
They're super
straws,
cool.
fun.
Get you some bamboo straws.
Yeah. All right. So by following the R's, we can reduce the impact on the mangroves. We can, have there be less trash to get in there. That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I don't know.
Another thing that people could do is just like come volunteer.
Up top, volunteer with our team because we're cool.
All right, yeah. So volunteer, help the mangroves, learn about the mangroves. I think that, one of the reasons that we do mangrove topics on Science Saturday, I'm going to say fairly frequently, it is one of our favorite topics. It's because they're so important, but a little misunderstood.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes mangroves get the reputation of being a little stinky. Same. It happens to all of us, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're so important. And that stinkiness is a very natural, good smell. Unless there's like pollution and stuff in there. So I think that if they smell really bad, it's a bad sign. But yeah, learning about the mangroves and why they're so important, and volunteering really gives you a nice connection to them.
Yeah.
What else? So we're volunteering, we're reducing our impact on mangroves and the environment.
I would say enforcement. So, a lot of the mitigation here, which is basically if you take something out, put something in, you have to do it. I don't know how well enforced that is. And if it is enforced, it's not really a good documented record of what's going on.
Okay.
And in addition to that, plants need long-term monitoring over time, because they could be fine for the first 3 months, but what about the 3 months after that?
Right.
What about the year after that?
Right.
And so one of the things our team is doing is finding out, where restoration is feasible as well as needed. And we're also hosting local community listening sessions too, so we can find out what does the public want us to do. Where do they see key things? And one of our other team members who's not here today, Laura, her thesis is actually looking at community perceptions of mangroves.
Oh,
so how often are they in the mangrove environment? What do they know about mangroves? What do they care about in relation to them? And so I would say, these mangroves are not going to stay in this mangrove hotel forever. The whole point is to plant them out there, get them growing, restore the environment. But that's all kind of moot if they aren't protected by other forces other than ourselves.
Right,
So,
very good point. All right, I love all of these answers. And I guess I'm going to add stop chopping the mangroves.
Yes.
So however we can do that, they are protected already, but as you said, a lot of times we have mitigation responses rather than saying no. So I'll stop there on that one, but I think, we need to be really careful. And do not tie your boats up to the mangroves. It's a good one.
Can they drag them out of the things, or just hurt them in general?
They can hurt them in general. Now I will say, in the territory we allow mangrove tie-off during hurricanes, because mangroves are pretty awesome, and they will protect you during a storm. But imagine if you were a mangrove. Let's do mangrove. Put your arms out, and then... Come on, Mason, be a mangrove.
Think of Gertrude. What is she doing?
And then, so let's say a boat ties on, and then a storm comes, and I'm like, my arm. Oh no!
My arm!
One cropper gone.
And a boat gone.
Yeah. So we don't want to take advantage of that and leave them tied up all the time. So that's important.
We've done a lagoon protected by mangroves.
Yeah.
Like that one over on the side, like it's like really in, and you can put your boat in there, but it
That's
doesn't.
the St. Thomas East End Reserves. That's where that is.
You could do a whole separate Science Saturday of just snorkeling in them. With some
Ooh.
people from
Hear
our
that,
team.
Karen? Karen is our steer coordinator in CTM. She can take us
That would be fun.
snorkeling in the mangroves. All right, so looks like you guys are done with your ornaments. What do we got?
We have some little sunset wave action here. Love it.
Love it.
I have a mangrove.
And a
And a
mangrove.
flower. And a heart.
Oh,
And a butterfly.
I
So it's an
love
ecosystem.
it. Love it.
I did a mandala.
Oh, they're so pretty. All right. Well, guys, do we have any final thoughts today? Like, what's our take-home message?
Definitely continue to follow Science Saturdays for everything science and
Boom.
Saturday related and mangrove related.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for coming and watching, and Mason for hanging out with us. Remember to join great mangrove cleanups in the spring. Also, if you want to find out, this is a shameless plug here, so sorry.
Love
not
it.
sorry.
Nope, do
if
it.
you want to follow us and our team and what we're doing and the different activities, community events we have coming up, etc., you can follow us on Instagram at GRROE, GRROE .usbi.mangroves. That's where we do everything mangrove related, and we hope to see you again soon. Up top, everybody.
All right, yay!
Remember to watch the follow-up video as well, so you can see how these ornaments turned out and make some yourself in the future.
Yep, we're gonna see how Gertrude likes them. All right, everybody. Bye.